Today I'm reviewing the LEGO Star Wars set Yavin 4 Rebel Base, set number 75365 with 1,066 pieces. And the price I paid for this one makes it a great deal, in my opinion. The retail was $170, which is well beyond that 10 cents a piece price point that we all love so much. But I got it with a rebate in the form of Walmart cash. $68 was the amount I got back. So I paid about $102 in effect. It's a little bigger than I remember it being, just a box, and it feels really good just to pick it up and like set it on the table. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a real Lego set. We're going to be able to build this for a while. And I love the art. I admit that it does influence my purchasing decision to see all this Yavin 4 jungle added to the background. You can imagine if it was in the Ultimate Collector Series packaging and just had a black background, it would look a lot smaller and less appealing. So kudos on the art. I mean, couldn't have done it better. Couldn't ask for more. I think this is an ideal example of a well-arted box. And on the rear of the box, we have even more of that gorgeous box art. I love the way they've given us a view of the jungle stretching out for miles in the background there. We have all the pictures I could ask for of the set from behind, and a total of 5 different boxes showing off different play features and arrangement possibilities. And pretty much everything that I would want to complete my purchase pondering as I stand in the store looking it over, thinking about if I want to get it or not. Looks pretty good. All right, opening it up. Just slit the little tape here. All right. Let's see what we got. Yeah. All the parts and pieces, and then our fancy envelope. Here's our instruction manual for the Y-Wing. 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like a total of 5 for the actual base. And we've also got the one sticker sheet that was hiding in the little envelope with a total of, looks like, 9 different stickers, which is decent for a set this size, I think. And the instructions manuals are probably exactly what you would expect, with the very first page of the first manual being a handful of advertisements and or warnings, and then we go straight into the building. And we've got typical building instructions with each following manual getting straight to the point, right into emptying bags and building. So, standard stuff. As for the minifigures, we have what I think is a pretty impressive lineup for a set this size compared to what I've seen lately. Sets with similar piece counts don't usually have this many figures. We've got 12 all in all, and I think it's a really great variety of characters, everybody we see in the final chapter of A New Hope, with Luke Skywalker, starting from left to right, in his medal ceremony outfit with that yellow jacket. Then we have Han Solo as he appeared at the medal ceremony in his standard outfit, it looks like. Then we've got Leia in her special medal ceremony gown, which I always thought was particularly striking as a kid. Leia was my first celebrity crush. And then we have General Dodonna. We've got Garvin Dries, Red Leader, who was an X-Wing pilot. Then John Vander, Gold Leader, a Y-Wing pilot. We got Chewbacca, C-3PO, with that rather modern-looking printing on the legs and the arms, which makes him look pretty fancy. We got R2-D2, R2-BHD, a Rebel Fleet Trooper, and a Rebel crew who may and may not have actually appeared on the screen. I think this is a really great variety. Luke Skywalker is looking sharp in his official yellow jacket. He's got some printing on the leg there for a leg holster and the belt. And then he's got a pretty typical looking chrome colored lightsaber hilt with a nice looking blue blade, which doesn't have any bubbles in it. I don't think they were making them that way last I was building Lego sets. It kind of shows you how old I am. And his hair I like. The previous hair looked kind of longer and straighter, which I think worked just fine. And so this is not an upgrade or a downgrade in my opinion, just great. And he has the somewhat subtle grin on his face, which I think captures him well for that part of the film. For the back of Luke, they gave some semi-subtle lines on his jacket there, which looks just great and fine to me. From the side view, you can see there is no arm printing, which I'm totally okay with, although it does technically give him a little space to upgrade if they want to. You can see he has his secondary expression, which is a somewhat subtle determination, I suppose, is what you would say that is. And here's the front of him without the metal, so you can kind of see the detailing of his jacket. Han Solo was rocking his signature charming smuggler smirk, and a good looking outfit is pretty much perfect as far as I am concerned. I like the look of the jacket and the detailing of the little pockets outlined there, as well as his hip and leg holster and belt detailing, and his hairpiece is pretty much perfect. He's equipped with his signature black blaster pistol and his shiny golden medal. On the sides, he has no detailing on the arms. I mean, it's just the off-white of the shirt that he wears under the vest, which is perfect in my opinion. And for the back, you just see a few basic lines showing the back of his vest. Looks pretty great. For his alternate head, Han has a much less subtle expression than what Luke had. With gritted teeth, he's probably charging stormtroopers as we speak, which I like because that reflects his less subtle displays of emotion in the film. For Leia in her official medal ceremonies robes, we have the good-looking robes themselves, and I think the printing is absolutely spot on, top and bottom for this, with a few lines to accentuate her feminine curves and the big, broad, obvious belt, plus the necklace. And her facial expression is great here. She's got just the slight smile, dignified smile there, and she has a good-looking blaster. I'm glad that they turned it silver instead of black. It looks kind of royal and befitting for her. And the back is fantastic. I love the hair, like all the shapes and components that they kind of brought together there in terms of the mold. Looks really great, and the line work, if you will, on the dress itself, as well as the back, her back under her hair, as you can see here, also has printing, which is pretty cool, considering that you probably wouldn't display her without her hair, but they still bothered to do it. And on both sides, we have no arm printing, which there really shouldn't be, so that looks great. Finally, her alternate head expression, her determination with the gritted teeth is more like Han than Luke, and kind of the pointy eyebrows there, slanty eyebrows, makes her look slightly caricaturish like she should as a Lego, so pretty much perfect figure. I think General Dodonna has a pretty rad outfit with all the pockets and crevices well represented there, and a good looking face number 1 with kind of a somber expression. Face number 2 would be slightly gritted teeth, I suppose, and it's kind of subtle but looks great. From behind, we have very little printing on the back, but everything we need. And on both sides, we have no arm printing, and I really don't think any is needed. I think his hair looks great. It's cool that it comes back as far as it does, and then it kind of swooshes in the back in the shape that it does. And I like his little official pointer stick. For the X-Wing pilot Red Leader Garvin Dries, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, we have a fantastic outfit. It looks like the perfect rebel costume for a pilot. I like the details on the torso that also carry through to the waistband and the legs. And he's got a standard looking black blaster with a great detailed helmet. You can see from the front and from the back, and from both sides for that matter, that it's got printing all over. And on the back, he has more good details on his torso without any on the bottom or waistline. On both sides, there's just standard orange arms, and I really couldn't ask for more from this one. The alternate head print shows a kind of vexed look, like he's getting blasted by TIE fighter fire, and that is about it. There's almost nothing different to say for the Y-Wing pilot Gold Leader John Vander, because the only thing different is his helmet. He just has kind of a grid pattern look instead of the lines. Exact same body, exact same blaster, exact same head on both sides, but a great looking pilot, and I'm glad that they gave us these named pilots. It's pretty cool instead of having just Rebel pilot, Y-Wing pilot, and great detailing all around. And here is a view of the two pilots next to each other, so you can see their differences and similarities in that way. I will point out that on the box art, it could appear that they have different head prints, but they really have the identical heads. It's just that Garvin Dries is showing the one face and John Vander is showing the other face, both present on the head that they each have. Chewbacca is looking as handsome as a giant monkey can look, with a whole lot of great detailing. They've come a long ways over the years. I like the shape of the whole torso piece, as well as the coloring with the lighter colors splashing up against the darker. He has a great looking bandolier, and it has that silver markings instead of just being brown like his fur. I like that. And that's a cool looking bowcaster piece. Pretty much a perfect Chewie in my opinion. I believe C-3PO is the most detailed we've ever had, question mark. I think the one that came with the Landspeeder Ultimate Collector's series had printing on the side of the legs, perhaps. But other than that, yeah, he looks fantastic. I love that the eyes are a different color than the head, and that the wires are multiple colors in his torso midsection there instead of just being one color. And every other little detail on his front and on his legs, including the silver markings, Both sides have the exquisite arm printing with about as much detail as you can squeeze into the arms, I think. And the back has, again, the multicolored wires in the midsection and that kind of boxy look up top. And, of course, his head has a little bullseye on the back, and he's pretty much a perfect figure. I just really like the Lego C-3PO. R2-D2 looks just as good as C-3PO in my opinion. His front has every little detail you could ever wish for. Each side has really no side printing except on the dome, and I don't think he needs it on the legs. The back also has the back printing, which a lot of other astromechs don't have, and I appreciate that, and it's got just tons of detail, and I think the colors are also a great choice, with the silver being not chrome and not super dark, but definitely not light. And then, of course, just blue and white, and a lighter silver on some of the detailing, like the little vents on his front. Pretty much a perfect R2 in my opinion. R2BHD is a good looking droid all around. I like all the details on the front and the selection of silvers for his torso and then head and leg pieces being different. The back has no back printing on the actual torso, only the head, which I would think it wouldn't be that difficult to just go ahead and do that since they're doing it for R2. One minor complaint, no side printing on the legs, nor should there be, I think. All around a great figure, but wouldn't it be cool if they could just do him 100% chrome and make him like super shiny? Maybe that's too expensive to put in just a normal set, but it would look cool, even if they do like some polybag edition, like let's get the full-on shiny droid. The Rebel Fleet Trooper is kind of nostalgic for me because my brother had the 2008, I believe it was, Imperial Dropship set, so this looks kind of like they did, but probably with more detail, almost certainly. His primary face looks great for guard duty, and I like all the details on his torso, and I'm totally fine with the 100% gray non-printed pants. The spear looks fantastic with the shiny silver, and his like fancy electro binocular dealio is pretty handy dandy. I like how he's able to hold it. We have his alternate head print, which is ideal for blasting stormtroopers, and a little bit of detailing on his back, which looks great. And for each side, we have no arm or leg printing, which is perfect for what this guy's supposed to be. I like the classic looking helmet with that black visor. There's something fancy about it, something special about it. I think it looks just as good as the Stormtrooper helmets, honestly. Last but not least, we have our Rebel crew member with the olive color skin, I believe you would call it, and her little wrench. The front is well printed up top with nothing on the bottom, and I like her primary expression of just kind of a serene little smile. On the back, we've got some additional printing on the top, which looks perfect for the kind of jacket outfit that she's wearing there. And her secondary face has the slightly more determined, not particularly vexed look with some teeth visible. And she's got the helmet that doesn't have the visor on it and kind of differentiates her from the normal troops. The Y-Wing, which I would be tempted to refer to as a MIDI-scale Y-Wing, with its very vibrant white and yellow color scheme, looks great to me. I think I got a good bang for my buck having it included in this set. It features a little turret here that'll swivel, and the cockpit is just manual pop it off, pop it on kind of a deal, so no hinge there. And then your R2 unit, each foot is going to have two studs connecting it instead of the single stud that is sometimes the case. The flick fire missiles are pretty typical. I can demonstrate. You just load them up with the spring loading mechanism and then just launch them away. And there is some permanent landing gear on the base here. Makes it look pretty good on display. So overall, a neat looking build. I liked these little bits here. The shafts was the most fun to construct. How it all clicked together was particularly satisfying. We've also got these handy dandy and kind of cute looking steps you can just put right up against the cockpit and have your pilot climb up into it reasonably easily. He just kind of sits on there pretty good as long as your hands are steady. Then we have a couple of runway lights that are just very simple little builds, but very effective. Here's the front view of the old ancient temple turned Rebels Hidden Fort, as pictured on the box. All the same shapes and angles. I really appreciate the colors they chose with the almost beige bricks and the touch of black and gray, rather than the somewhat lighter color I think I detect in the movie, which if you look at the prop it might look darker because the cameras pick it up the way they do, but I'll just show real quick. You can turn all these little wall pieces on hinges and make them come out flat if you so desire, and it appears a little bit bigger. The top section of the Rebel base removes quite easily, from just a handful of studs. There's literally only 4 studs that it clicks onto, so you can pop it off and back on a whim. And here's the more zoomed in view of this side and a view of what it looks like to move the wall segments. We've got this moving piece with the table and this rather neat looking transparent map. Then we have a ladder that adjusts slightly, and other than that, that's pretty much all the moving parts for this side. An up-close look at the panel reveals that it sports a sticker showing a whole bunch of Star Wars-y looking buttons. The integration of a couple of black clips in the wall is nice for blaster storage. Here's a somewhat zoomed in view of the other side, showing what it all looks like on this angle. We have our cool looking lookout tower, and again, pivoting these wall pieces, you can see that we can lower the tower if we want to, and raise it up and then just cock it, perch it on that ledge there to keep it at an elevated level. So here's a slightly closer look to show just a little coffee mug here, a screen accurate readout of the Death Star plans as seen in the film, which I think was some of the first CGI in movies. And we got like a little spigot to dispense who knows what kind of drinks, and a readout wall panel with a total of 3 seats for various Rebel personnel, and again this pretty cool looking transparent map bit. Like the other side of the temple, this side includes a couple of integrated black clips for stashing your blasters. And you can easily place your Rebel Sentinel in the watchtower here with spear and micro binoculars. The rear of the temple looks kind of like what I might call a unisex dollhouse, if that's even a term, with each individual compartment, which I will show more closely. Really, we've just got these 2 ladders that hinge out a little bit as the only real moving parts. And I would be remiss not to mention that this radar dish segment comes out pretty easily and can just slide right back in and sit on these 2 little out-jutting tabs pretty easily. So in our uppermost compartment, we've got just a radar dish, and it really just pivots about like you'd expect. My favorite compartment in the temple is what I guess you would call the throne room chamber, where the medals were awarded to our heroes. I like that they've included plenty of room to fit everybody in, as you can see here. On our second to the bottom compartment, we have the strategic room, I suppose, or the war room or something. We got our cool looking map panel pieces on both sides, and we have the cannons, which are controlled with this lever here and their little targeting screen. And then we have our box just for storing various goodies. And here's the front view of our stud launching defense cannons. Just conventional stud launchers. For our final and bottom compartment, we have the hangar bay, I guess you would call it, or the entryway. It's a hangar in the films. It's kind of a miniature hangar here, but we have a miniature Y-wing, so that ought to work. And I'll mention we have our one little movie antenna piece, movie, wiggle, wiggle, and this readout screen with a Y-wing pictured on it. I think they're running diagnostics on it. And then if you bump over to the right just a little, you've got these cabinets with the old translucent doors. And something stashed inside that second one. And we have the Rebel Alliance personnel carrier as seen towards the beginning of the final act of A New Hope, with a convenient place here on the back to stand rebels. We'll just slip them right in there, have them driving it around. We have one hinged piece here that allows you to open the middle section, so you can store miscellaneous goodies inside, like tools, etc. Very simple build, but it looks surprisingly accurate compared to what you see in the movie, and it makes me pay closer attention to what the film-used prop vehicle looked like. And that is it for this review. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, and you can check out other videos on the end screen.